Hello, my name is James Hadley and welcome to Football Manager Tips, where I hope to give you some advice on how to get the most out of your Football Manager experience. In this first video, I want to address one of the most talked about subjects in Football Manager. How can you successfully replicate Pep Guardiola's tactics used with Barcelona and Bayern Munich? So, as I said before, we're going to have a look at Barcelona's tactics used by Pep Guardiola. If we load up our game quickly. It's just a blank game that I've created, and this tactic is not an easy tactic to learn. Well, I should say not an easy tactic to create. It's quite complicated, and it won't work with teams that don't have the talent to do it, basically. So that's why it works with Barcelona. It will work with Bayern Munich. It will work with teams like Juventus. It might work in the Premier League with teams like Man United. I've used it fairly successfully with Swansea, and that's pretty much it. So the first thing we need to do is open the tactics menu from the top right hand corner of the screen, and as you'll see, this is a basic 4-5-1 formation. This won't be the actual tactic we're using, this is just the standard Barcelona tactic. It's a blank save game that I've loaded up. Now what we need to do is click add tactic, create a new tactic, skip to that next bit. So the basic shape of this formation is fine, it's a 4-5-1, it's got 4 defenders, 5 midfielders and a striker. But in reality it works out more as a 4-1-2-2-1 or a 4-1-2-3, with the attacking players being willing to switch over with each other. If we click next, look at the playing style, we want a fluid style, and what this means is that defenders are not only defenders and attackers aren't only attackers, midfielders aren't only midfielders. When the attackers play it through to hopefully stop any strikers getting through on goal straight at him. Our fullbacks are just fullbacks, they're not wingbacks. It's a common misconception. Wingbacks will take more risks as they go forward, but I consider Barcelona's fullbacks to be just standard fullbacks. Central defenders, you can create ball playing defenders if you wish. I prefer to just leave them as standard central defenders, as there are some issues with Football Manager where ball playing defenders will make more mistakes on the ball. If we look at our defensive midfielder, now we're going to select the half-back, and this is Sergio Busquets. So what Busquets does is he drops into that back two, to allow the full-backs forward. So Dani Alves, Jordi Alba will fly up those wings to support the attack. As that happens, Sergio Busquets will drop in between Carlos Puyol and Gerard Piqué, or whichever centre-backs you're using. The central midfielders, one will be an advanced playmaker, and this would cover in this system Anders Iniesta, who's a playmaker who's willing to run on the ball a little, get a bit further forward than his counterpart Xavi, who would play as a deep-lying playmaker. The wingers are actually inside forwards, and this means they're willing, rather than a traditional winger, which will run down the wing and cross the ball in, they will cut inside and play interchanging passes with the midfield. And our striker is going to be Lionel Messi in this situation, and he would be a false 9. And what a false 9 does is he's a creative player. He's not just a striker, he's totally capable of being a striker, but he can drop into that midfield or into make it a front 3 rather than a front 1 almost. Drop back and play attacking balls in for other players making forward runs. Let's move to player duties. So this is the player duties screen, and here you can just decide what kind of role you want your players to play. whether you want them to be an attacking player, a defensive player, or a supporting player, and it basically just changes what their starting position on the pitch is. So an attacking player will stay further up the pitch, or start from a position further up the pitch than a supporting or defensive player. Now, one of the common misconceptions with the Barcelona team is people think that they have more attacking roles, when in fact they have more supporting roles. So what we need to do is set both the midfielders and the wingers to support, as well as the false nine, which can only be a support role. Now, there's a general rule of thumb in Football Manager, that you need at least 4 supporting players, and preferably 3 defensive. Now, the goalkeeper could be considered a defensive player as well, but that would make it 4, not 3. In this Barcelona style role, what we want is a supporting goalkeeper, and this is the way that Victor Valdez pushes himself up the pitch, and he'll make supporting passes to fullbacks. And what this does, by having so many support roles, we create a crowded pitch, and it means those players are very close together. And the stereotypical thing about Barcelona is they play lots of short balls to one another, and this makes it easier to do. So what will happen is you have your central defenders, which are defensive, and you have your halfback, in this case Sergio Busquets, who is a defensive player. They will stay and defend, and the rest of the players will support up the pitch. What you need to do is set the defenders to attacking, and what this means is that when the centre of the pitch gets congested, those fullbacks will push forward and provide an outlet on the wings, where the inside forwards have cut in already. Let's save this tactic. Let's call it Tiki Taka Barca. Let's click save. So the next thing we need to do is add the team instructions. This gives your team some personality and decides the way they play, which obviously for Barcelona is very, very important. A common misconception with Barcelona and Pep Guardiola teams in general is that they play a very wide, expansive game. They're actually a very narrow team through the core. So those midfielders all stay very central to the pitch. They don't go out too far wide, and this allows them to make those short triangular passes between players. The width in Barcelona's teams tends to actually come from the fullbacks. So what we need to do is look for the overlap, and that will allow the fullbacks to bomb on forward, and it will mean that the midfield players look to pass out diagonally to those fullbacks. We want to check play narrower, and we want push higher up, and that will make the defenders move higher up the pitch. It will create a lot of space in behind, which is why Barcelona can be susceptible to counter-attacking football. But by doing this, it also benefits the team because, again, it pushes that space in the pitch together and means that players can play more triangular short passes. We also want tighter marking. We want our players to stay on the feet, so it'll just stop them making any rash tackles, and it helps keep the shape of the team as well. We also want to play out of defence, which is fairly self-explanatory. The central defenders will look for short, simple passes rather than anything too creative. You want to work the ball into the box, which again means short passes. You don't need to check shorter passing, but you can, so we'll give it a go for this one. And we also want to use the offside trap. So what I've done here is I've skipped ahead to the first friendly of the season. There's not too much we can tell from this game, but we should be able to get a fair idea of how the team's going to play, and should be able to see the tactic in action. So if we just start the game, we don't need a team talk really, and we'll just see how the team plays. And here you can see a little bit of the Barcelona tactic at work. So you see that the players get close together, make short sharp passes, and then the ball breaks to Sanchez, who's able to get past his man and finish the ball in the area. This should be something fairly typical of what you would see with this tactic. And here comes the second goal for the team, and you can see how the team work hard for each other, and they play clever passes, like that slow ball pass there, into no man, and Messi finishes it. So as you can see, it resulted in a 3-0 win for Barcelona. Fairly happy with how it went. We didn't get quite as much possession as I would have liked to have had, but it is the first game of pre-season, the players haven't gelled yet, and overall it's not a bad performance for the first game of pre-season. I would have liked to have had higher than 53% possession. I think once the players have been playing together for a bit longer, that will increase to close to 60%, but as you can see we had 22 shots and 10 of them on target, so that's a pretty good return on the game. To get more out of these players, you'd really want to focus your training on teamwork and cohesion, but that's something we'll focus on in another episode. It's important to understand that this is not a guide to winning, it's just a guide to helping you understand the tactical system in Football Manager. It's not necessarily a guaranteed win, and if you try this with a lower league team, it's not going to work. It will most likely not going to work unless you have a hell of a lot of money to throw at expensive players for that level. But it's something that will work at a higher level. Teams like Arsenal it might work with. I'm not sure how well it will work in the Premier League, although I have used it, as I've said before, fairly successfully with Swansea. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful. If you liked it, press like. If you disliked it, dislike it. And I will be back soon for another video. Thanks for watching.